Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Shodan Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravana Chari Tiravana Yamuna Tiravana Chari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Shodanandana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Yamuna Tiravana-chari Yamuna Tiravana Yamuna Tiravana-chari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Sai Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we are reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 8, which is the sons of Sagara meet Lord Kapila Dev. Text number 24. Prashanta Maya Gunakarma Lingam Anama Rupam Sadasad Vimuktam Jnanopadeshaya Grihita Deham Namamahe Tvam Purusham Puranam. Prashanta Maya Guna Karma Lingam Anama Rupam Sadasad Vimuktam Jnanopadeshaya Grihita Deham Namamahe Tvam Purusham Puranam. Prashanta Maya Guna Karma Lingam Anama Rupam Sadasad Vimuktam Jnanopadeshaya Grihita Deham. Sorry? Okay, so if you want to break your fast, you can go upstairs and do it. Namamahe, namamahe, namamahe tvam purusham puranam. Vaishnavis. Prashantamaya Gunakarmalingam Anama Rupam Sadasad Vimuktam Nama Mahitam. Namamahe Tvam Purusham Puranam. Anyone else? No? Word for word, please repeat after me. Prashanta, O completely peaceful one. Maya Guna, the modes of material nature. Karma Lingam, symptomized by fruitive activities. Anama Rupam, one who has no material name or form. Sat Asad Vimuktam, transcendental to the manifested and non-manifested modes of material nature. Jnana Upadeshaya, for distributing transcendental knowledge, as in Bhagavad Gita. Grihita Deham, has assumed a form like a material body. Namamahe, I offer my respectful obeisances. Tvam, unto you. Purusham, the Supreme Person. Puranam, the original. Thank you, Prabhu. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. O completely peaceful Lord, I'll read it first, then you can repeat after me. O completely peaceful Lord, although material nature, fruitive activities, and their consequent material names and forms are your creation, you are unaffected by them. Therefore, your transcendental name is different from material names, and your form is different from material forms. You assume a form resembling a material body just to give us instructions like those of Bhagavad Gita. But actually you are the Supreme Original Person. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you. So please repeat after me. O completely peaceful Lord, although material nature, fruitive activities, and their consequent material names and forms are your creation, you are unaffected by them. Therefore, your transcendental name is different from material names, and your form is different from material forms. You assume a form resembling a material body just to give us instructions like those of Bhagavad Gita. But actually you're the Supreme Original Person. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Purport. Sri Yamunacharya has recited this verse in his Stotra Ratna 43. Bhavantam ivanu charan nirantara prashanta nishesha manor rathantara kadaham aikantika nitya kinkara praharshayishyami sanatha jivitam. Quote, by serving you constantly, one is freed from all material desires and is completely pacified. When shall I engage as your permanent, eternal servant and always feel joyful to have such a fitting master? End quote. Mano rathena sati dhavato bahi. One who acts on the mental platform must descend to material activities. Material contamination, however, is completely absent from the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his pure devotee. Therefore, the Lord is addressed as Prashanta, completely peaceful, free from the disturbances of material existence. The Supreme Lord has no material name or form. Only the foolish think that the Lord's name and form are material. Avajananti ma'amura manushim tanumashritam. The identity of the Supreme Lord is that He is the original person. Nonetheless, those who have but a poor fund of knowledge think that the Lord is formless. The Lord is formless in the material sense, but He has transcendental form, Satchid Ananda Vigraha. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Chalakaya Chakshur Ulmandamina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So this chapter is titled The Sons of Sagara Meet Lord Kapila Dev. So in this verse we are hearing how Krishna is a person. He doesn't have a form like we do. His name is not like our name. And we'll get to that. So in this chapter, we hear the lineage of Sagara, and here it's actually Amshuman who is approaching Lord Kapila Muni and offering prayers, because prior to that, his 60,000 uncles went to the ashram of Kapila Muni thinking that he had stolen the horse. And they were devastated. So now Amshuman is coming and offering these prayers. But we hear the lineage in this verse, in this chapter, sorry. So there was Rohita, his son was Harita, his son was Champa, whose son was Sudev, Vijay, Baruka, then Vrika. So as you know, earlier on in this chapter, Bahuka, he was old, he went to the forest, there he passed away, and his chaste wife wanted to commit sati, which was the practice in those days. In other words, to jump in the funeral pyre out of chastity. But there was a Muni by the name of Orva. He forbade her to do so because she was pregnant. And he said, you should give birth. But the co-wives of Orva, they came up with the plan to poison her, and somehow that poison didn't work, and the child was born. The name of the child was Sagara, and he ended up becoming a king. He became an emperor. So as an emperor, to assert his sovereignty, back in those days, the monarchs would assert imperial sovereignty. And the way they would do that was by performing Ashwamedha sacrifices. So it was not only just to assert imperial sovereignty over all the surrounding territories, over earth, but it was also to please Krishna. It was to glorify Bhagavan. That was also another reason why Ashwamedha sacrifices were performed. And just to establish that the king is very religious, they follow dharma, and to emphasize that on the citizens, and to rule over the world. So he wanted to perform Ashwamedha sacrifices, but there was one problem. The horse was stolen. So as you know, in Ashwamedha sacrifice, there's a consecrated horse or a sacred horse who is sent all over the world. So just imagine a horse comes to Spring Street in Victoria, goes to Parliament House in Canberra. So like that, a horse goes everywhere, and that horse is followed by an army, by the king's army. So whoever challenges the horse, whoever stops the horse from proceeding further because the army is behind, in other words, they're saying you can't come here, then there would be a fight. And in that way, the monarch would assert his sovereignty, his dominance. And either the wherever the horse went, those countries submitted, or they put up a fight. So that's how it was. So the horse was going around, but then the problem was it got stolen. So the horse was stolen by naughty Indra. Indra stole the horse because he felt a bit insecure. He thought that he knew that Ashvamedha is not an ordinary sacrifice, and only great personalities can perform it. It requires a lot of resources, and you need substantial military strength. So he knew it's not an ordinary sacrifice. It establishes a lot of spiritual piety, gives a lot of spiritual power, and he felt threatened that his position, Indra as a position, could be taken away. So then he decided to steal the horse, and he did it. He stole the horse and he left it near the ashram of Kapila Muni. So then obviously the sacrifice could not proceed. And so Sagara had 2 wives. And one of these wives, she had 60,000 sons, believe it or not. Her name was Sumati. So Sumati had 60,000 sons. And these 60,000 sons, they went out on a mission to look for this horse. Where's the horse? It's missing. It's like an insult, right? The horse is missing. And so they were looking, they dug the earth, and then one day they saw the horse near Kapila Muni, who was in Samadhi. And they offensively they thought that Kapila Muni had stolen the horse. So Kapila Muni is the Shakti-Avesh avatar of the Lord. He's an incarnation of the Lord, empowered incarnation. So they thought he has stolen the horse, and they said he's very sinful. Let's go and kill him. So they all charged to kill him. And as you know, in our body we have various elements. One of them is Agni in the stomach, which helps to digest food and keep our bodies warm. So the Agni in their bodies became very high, extremely high, and they were burnt by the fire of their own Agni. So they were all burned, and due to that offense, then Amshuman, who was the grandson of Sagara Maharaj from his other wife, he went there, and he also saw the horse hanging around Kapila Muni. So he approached Kapila Muni, and from text 21 onwards, he offered prayers. We also see like Ashvamedha sacrifices performed by various other personalities like Yudhishthir Maharaj. So Yudhishthir Maharaj in the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, after the battle of Kurukshetra, so once the Kurukshetra war had taken place, and that war had devastated the Kuru dynasty. As you can imagine, in any war. I was like at a war museum recently, the Australian War Memorial, and there was a veteran taking us through the Australia's participation in World War I in Gallipoli. And there, like, the Australian army was decimated when they landed on the shores. So and we can see, so wars take a huge toll on a country, right? After the First World War, there's so many, like Germany was destroyed. They were humiliated. So there was this war the battle of Kurukshetra, and there was so much destruction and suffering. Though Yudhishthira Maharaj was victorious, he was victorious, but he was feeling morally very burdened, and he was reluctant to be to be coronated. So he didn't want to become the king because he felt morally very burdened that he had killed his relatives, his elders, his friends had died, and so many soldiers and millions of men had died. There were so many widows, so many animals had died. So he was feeling very sad. He didn't want to fight. He didn't want to, become the king. And he, as you know, he saw Bhishma Dev, and Bhishma Dev also instructed him in Varnashram Dharma, and they basically encouraged him to get coronated. And Krishna also encouraged Yudhishthira Maharaj. So he did get coronated, and then Lord Krishna told him to, and Vyasadeva told him to perform the Ashwamedha Yagya, Ashwamedha sacrifice, which Maharaj Yudhishthira did to glorify the Lord. And then again that horse was sent. So we can see there are examples like that. So then Amshuman, one of the grandsons of Sagara Maharaj, he approached Kapila Muni. And when he saw Kapila Muni, he offered his obeisances and offered very beautiful prayers, which we are going through. So from text 21 onwards, he offers those prayers. And Kapila Muni is one of the 12 Mahajans, one of the 12 authorities of Hare Krishna, one of the 12 authorities of devotional service. And he's a Shakti Avesh avatar who's empowered, basically living entity, who's empowered to fulfill a particular mission. So Kapila Muni propounded the Sankhya Yoga. So what is Sankhya? Sankhya Yoga is basically explains the distinction between Atma and matter, and it establishes the supremacy of the bhakti. That's what Sankhya Yoga is, right? It talks about the material elements, how the soul is separate from the elements, and beyond the soul is the super soul, and there's Krishna, and devotional service is superior. So, and that's what Kapila Muni did. And Kapila Muni is the son of Devahuti and Kardama Muni. So in text number 21, we can see that Amshuman is saying to Lord Kapila Muni that even Lord Brahma, he can't understand your position, because even Lord Brahma is under the grip of the three modes of material nature. So we all are covered by the three modes of nature. Those three modes of nature are Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Material nature is comprised of the three modes of material nature. Our bodies are made of the three modes of material nature. But the soul is transcendental to the three modes. But because we are under the grip of the three modes, we cannot understand who God is. So he's saying that even Lord Brahma can't understand your position, because Brahma is, here is said, in goodness. What to speak of my uncles who are in ignorance? Right? So these three modes have varying symptoms. So someone who is in ignorance, they are very lazy, they're covered by sleep, they like to sleep a lot, get angry very quickly, very destructive, they consider irreligion to be religion. Right? So these are like the symptoms of the mode of ignorance. In passion is characterized by intense activity, intense fruitive activity. What will I get out of something? The motivation to do something is only when there's something in it for myself. So there's not much voluntary activity. It's not so much sacrificing for others. That is lacking. It is just characterized by greed, lust, anger, and greed, basically. So, and then goodness. In goodness, one is trying to go higher. One is trying to cultivate higher knowledge. One is trying to understand who are we. We are not the body, we are the soul. But they are unable to progress beyond that. And in mode of goodness, one lives like a sattvic lifestyle. One tries to live a sattvic lifestyle, rise up early, eat vegetarian food, not very spicy, be kind, likes to go to nature. And then ultimately, the whole idea behind that is they're trying to raise themselves to the spiritual platform, understand they're not the body but the soul. And they're not so driven by what's in it for me. So even if we are in the mode of goodness, we still can't understand Krishna, because Krishna is transcendental to the three modes of material nature. That is Krishna's position. Krishna's position is unique. Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchid Ananda Vigraha, Anadir Adir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. Krishna is the cause of all causes. He is the Lord of everyone. He is the source of everything. God is the proprietor of everything. Everything belongs to God. Isha Vasyam idam sarvam yad Isha Vasyam idam sarvam yad kincha jagatam jagat. Right? So, everything belongs to Krishna. He is the Lord of everything, the proprietor. So therefore, he is transcendental to the three modes of material nature. The three modes of material nature, they come from him. So Krishna says, he says himself in the Bhagavad Gita that I am the creator of everything. He says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. He says, Krishna says, I am the source of the material and spiritual worlds. Everything emanates from me. And those who know this, they render in my seva. They render in my devotional service. So he's clearly saying in the Bhagavad Gita, this material world in which you're situated, and the spiritual worlds which you can't see, I am the source of them. So that's how great God is. He's even our source. We are coming from Krishna also. And then he says, everything is working under my direction. In the Bhagavad Gita, in the 9th chapter, 10th verse, he says, Maya dakshena prakriti suyate sa characharam hetunena kaunteya jagad viparivartate. So Krishna says, this material nature, which is one of my energies. So Krishna has unlimited energies. So material nature is one of his energies. He says, this is working under my direction. Like under our direction, not everything is working. Even our household is not under our control, let alone everything else. We can't even control our own household. So, but Krishna can control everything. The sun, the rain, the wind, they all are working ultimately under Krishna's direction. He says, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. He says, this material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction. O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. So he's saying, I have set into motion this material nature. which is one of my energies. So Krishna is so great, like he can set something in motion and then it takes care of itself. So the creation is complete. Everything that emanates from Krishna is complete. It's complete in itself. And then he also says in the 7th chapter, all these elements are coming from me. Bhumi rapo narovayu kammano buddhir evacha ahankar itiyam me binna prakriti ashtada. And then he says, aparaya mitastavanyam prakritim vidhi me param jiva bhuta mahabaho yayedham dharayate jagat. So he says, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. These are my 8 separated energies. He's saying they're my separated energies, not yours. And then he says there's another superior energy, the jiva. That is also emanating from me. So Krishna is the creator of everything. And because he's the creator of everything, he is totally independent and he's unaffected by the modes of material nature. It's not like, we have created AI and robots and we are worried it's going to take over our lives. It'll go out of control and then we are subject to it. But no, God is not like that. He has put the wheels in motion. He's created this entire system. The demigods are there. It's not that then they take over him. He still asserts his supremacy. And we can see in various pastimes. Like one time in Vrindavan, Krishna and the cowherd boys, they're having their pastimes and they go to the banks of the Yamuna. But what they didn't know that the waters of the Yamuna were poisoned by Kaliya, the serpent Kaliya. So Kaliya had lots of hoods, was a very envious and poisonous snake, was living in the ocean. And Garuda, who is the carrier of Vishnu, because he's a bird, is a predatory bird. His food is eating snakes. One of the food he eats is snakes. Like if you see an eagle also, an eagle will eat a snake. Right? Sometimes they capture a snake, they'll hold it and then they'll throw it down, or they bash it and then they eat it. So Garuda liked to eat snakes, and so they would, he would be offered a sacrifice. And one time Kaliya, he took away that sacrifice which was meant for Garuda. I'm not sure whether he ate it or took away. I can't remember, but the Garuda didn't get his sacrifice. So he was very upset and he chastised Kaliya. So Kaliya was running in fear of his life. And then he came to the Yamuna and he took shelter in the Yamuna. So the reason he chose Yamuna was because there was a lake there which was protected by the curse of the sage Saubari Muni. So he knew that Garuda, he won't enter this section of the Yamuna because it's cursed. So knowing that, Kaliya, he settled there, thinking he would be safe from Garuda. But because Kaliya was a very envious and very potent poisonous snakes, as snakes are, so snakes are very venomous, like Australia has the inland taipan. It's said that one bite of that snake can kill 100,000 mice or something. The venom is that potent, or an equivalent of 100 human beings. So just one bite can kill 100 human beings. That's the potency of the venom. So Kaliya was a very venomous snake. So you can just imagine the potency of its venom. And happened to be a water snake with many hoods. So because it was residing in the water, the water started to boil. In that lake, the water was boiling. Like it's boiling water in a kettle. So the water was boiling like that. And there were bubbles coming. All the fish had died. The fish were dead. The birds flying over the lake also fell down. They were dead. All the plants and trees in the vicinity of the lake, they had also dried up. So that was the potency of Kaliya. And it was causing a lot of distress to the residents of Vrindavan. But Krishna's cowherd friends, unknown to the danger, they went to the lake and they fell unconscious. So when Krishna saw that, he revived them, but he also wanted to teach Kaliya a lesson and he wanted to have some fun. So then there was a kadamba tree on the banks of the river, which is said to be still there. So he went, he climbed the kadamba tree, tightened his dhoti, he adjusted his clothes, and then as a swimmer, as an expert swimmer, he dived he dived into the lake. I don't know at that time how high the tree was. I'm assuming it's high. So he did a dive. It must be an impressive dive. And he dove in the water. And he was such a dive that it caused a massive splash. And there were huge waves and it caused massive commotion in the lake, even in the depths of the lake. So Kaliya was in the depths of the lake and he felt this commotion and disturbance. So he got very agitated. Kaliya got agitated and angry. He was like, "Who the hell is this? Whose audacity is it to create such a disturbance?" And then Kaliya came and he saw Krishna just swimming, totally unaffected by the poisonous waters, and he's having a great time. So Kaliya then, being a big serpent, he caught Krishna in his coils. So by then Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda Mai, and the others had arrived. They were in great distress, looking at that Krishna was captured by the coils of Kaliya. But Krishna was unaffected. He freed himself from the coils, and he jumped on the hoods of Kaliya. So Krishna jumped on the hoods of Kaliya. He had many hoods. And then he decided to have a dance. And there is no dance without music, right? How can there be dance without music? So the demigods in heaven, they also gathered, and the Gandharvas, they started to play some background music. So there was music going on, singing, and expert musicians were there, mridanga, kartal, so many other instruments were being played expertly. And Krishna danced. He did this amazing dance. Nataraj, he's the he's the expert. Krishna is the expert dancer. So he danced over the hoods of Kaliya. And by dancing, simultaneously he was smashing Kaliya. Kaliya was being smashed. And Kaliya was suffering. He was coughing, and Kaliya wasn't having a great time, but Krishna was having. And everyone else looking, they were also amazed at Krishna's dexterity. So then, so the wives of Kaliya, they saw that Kaliya was in great danger. And they thought he's not going to survive this thrashing. So they approached Krishna and they offered prayers to him. And then, Krishna was compassionate. He was moved by those prayers, and he decided to spare Kaliya. And he told Kaliya, "Okay, you can go now. You need to leave this place. You poisoned the waters. you need to go back to the ocean. And he said, don't worry about Garuda, because I've danced on you. My footprints have been, they've been embedded on your head. So then Garuda won't attack you. You won't be eaten by Garuda because the footprints are embedded. So you can go. So Kaliya went. He abandoned that lake, and that environment became very beautiful. So in this way we can see that Krishna is not impacted, or Krishna is not under the control of the three modes of material nature. So if it was anyone else, we would be affected by that, right? If a snake bites us, we don't have much time. We die unless we get aid, immediate assistance. You're going to die. But Krishna is unaffected by the modes of material nature. So he was not affected in the least. We also see Krishna, he lifted the Govardhan hill. And Krishna lifted the Govardhan hill for 7 days as a little boy. And he defied the laws of gravity. And he also he showed that he was not affected by any strain. If anyone else who lifts weights, you can't lift it for too long. You have to put it down. So then, but Krishna, he was lifting the Govardhan hill on his pinky finger for 7 days. 7 days and 7 nights. And he was not affected in the least, because Krishna is above material nature. In fact, the entire material nature is resting within Krishna. So one time, Krishna was playing, and Mother Yashoda was playing with his friends, and he had eaten some dirt. So there was a complaint made that Krishna has eaten dirt. So Mother Yashoda, she caught Krishna. She said, "Open your mouth." So when he opened his mouth, within his mouth, she saw the universal form there. She saw the entire creation in there. So the entire creation is resting within Krishna. It is resting within Krishna. So there's no chance that he can be affected by material nature. So that is only our foolishness that we think Krishna's name and form is similar to ours. And that's what's being explained in today's verse, in text 24. So there's this nice verse in the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 11th verse of the 9th chapter, which Prabhupada also quotes here. Avajananti ma'amura manushim tanumashrita param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. So Krishna says, fools, mudas, they deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the Lord of all that be. So this is very deep. Krishna is saying himself in the Bhagavad Gita. It is only mudas, fools, who say that I am a human, just because I look like a human. So we know, like Vishnu has 4 arms, Narayan has 4 arms. But Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. He's the source of everyone. He's the source of all incarnations. And Krishna, he has 2 arms. Krishna has 2 arms and 2 legs. And he looks like what you can see on the altar as Balaba. That's how Krishna looks like. Black Shyam Sundar, his bodily complexion is Shyam Sundar, like a dark blue rain cloud. He wears a garland. He wears a turban. He has a flute. And Krishna is a cowherd. So that is how God is. God is a person. God is not impersonal. So a lot of people think that God is energy. Bhagwan is just energy, and God is light. We are also that light, and one day we will become God. But no, just we have a form, like we look like something. We have a name, right? You all have a name. You have a form. You have certain qualities, and you do activities. You have leela. You have your own pastimes, right? With your wives, with your children, with your friends, with your colleagues. We engage in various activities or pastimes. So in the same way, Krishna also has a name, form, quality, and pastimes. But the difference is Krishna's nama, rupa, guna, etc. are spiritual. They're not material. That is the difference. And they're not contaminated by any material qualities, whereas we are contaminated by the three modes of material nature. And it is only due to a lack of knowledge that people think like that. And that's why Prabhupada says it's a poor fund of knowledge. It's the poor fund of knowledge. It is someone who's ignorant. It's like, even materially speaking, if someone is ignorant of any subject matter, they'll speak in a foolish manner, right? If someone doesn't know accounting and they start talking about it, they'll sound like a fool. They just have to open their mouth. So in the same way, when it comes to spirituality, everyone thinks they know everything, especially in India. Just because they have a little knowledge, which is even more dangerous. So just because they have a little knowledge, they say, "Oh, I know Bhagavad Gita." But actually it takes time to acquire this knowledge. And then it takes even longer to realize this knowledge. It is Gyan and Vigyan. So it is due to a poor fund of knowledge that people think that God is Nirakar. Yeah, God is Nirakar in the sense that Krishna doesn't have a material form. He doesn't have a form like me and you. Our form is subject to time. Right? We are getting old. We are getting sick. And we will die. That is, our form is subject to the laws of nature, which is birth, death, old age, and disease. Whereas Krishna is not subject to these things. Krishna is independent. It's like when a judge, he comes in the jail. Just because the judge comes in the jail doesn't mean he's a prisoner or a king. Just because the king takes a tour of the jail. So in the jail there are inmates, right? And the inmates have committed offenses. So we are like those inmates. We are wearing those prison suits. And we are, the prison is this material world. So, and just because Krishna comes once in a day of Brahma, yada yada hi dharmasya, right? He says, whenever there's a lack of dharma, irreligiosity, then I descend. So just because Krishna descends doesn't mean he is subject to the laws of this world. Or just because the king or a president or a prime minister or a judge comes in a prison doesn't mean they're subject to those laws. They are the controller, right? They, like a president, there is something called a presidential pardon. So when the US president, that's the tradition there, when his term is about to finish, in the final days, they offer presidential pardons. So those who have been on good behavior, the inmates, they release them. Like Trump, he pardoned so many people. So like that, Krishna, because he comes in this material world, he's not affected by the laws of this world. It's foolish people who think like that because they don't have any understanding. And to think like that is very offensive. If we think that God has a form like mine and yours, that's very, very offensive. So how can Krishna be subject to material nature? If we pray to Krishna, right? We approach Krishna because Krishna is Shuddha Sattva. And Krishna is pure like the sun. And whatever comes in contact with the sun also gets purified. So if there's like stool, water, the sun goes over it, in time that area becomes purified. So when we come in contact with Krishna, we get purified. So like when we chant the holy name, and that's why we chant Krishna's names. We don't chant any other name. We chant Krishna's names because they're pure. Or we chant God's names because they're pure. And when we chant these names, that has an effect on us. We also get purified. And that's the whole reason why we are chanting Hare Krishna. Because Krishna is situated beyond the modes, and he's completely purified, Shuddha Sattva. And whatever comes in touch with him also gets pure. So how can, if we get purified by coming in touch with Krishna, how can Krishna be subject, how can Krishna be an ordinary person? That is not possible. And as we can see from all these pastimes of Krishna, like Krishna subduing Kaliya, lifting the Govardhan hill, killing so many demons. Though Krishna looks like an ordinary person, like he looks ordinary person, he's Partha Sarthi. Krishna is the chariot driver. He took the position of a driver of Arjuna. He became Arjuna's driver. He took a low position. Looks like Krishna was engaged in politics, all those things. Hare Krishna. So, just because he did that, but people don't see the other side, what Krishna did also. They don't talk about that. He lifted the Govardhan hill, he subdued Kaliya, he killed Bakasura, Pralambasura, so many other demons. An ordinary person cannot do that. He showed Mother Yashoda the universal form within his mouth. So these are all evidences that show Krishna is God. And then Krishna, he appears in the form of a deity. Like we're sitting in front of deities. They're not murtis. These are not murtis. Murti is a statue, but this is a deity. A deity means this is non-different. Deity is non-different from Krishna, from God. This is God here personally. God has been invited in these forms by his pure devotees. And they have come here to give us an opportunity to do some devotional service. So Prabhupada, he came here. We heard from various senior devotees how these deities were installed. Shri Shri Gaurnitai, Radha Ballabha, Jagannath Baldev Subhadra. They were installed by Prabhupada personally. So the deity is made out of Bhumir, Apo, Nalo, Vayu, material forms, right? But because Krishna, these forms are Krishna's energy, and when Krishna comes in his energy, he transforms it into spiritual. So they become none other than himself. So the Prabhupada gives the famous example of the letterbox. Which these days most people don't send mail physically. It is through email, electronic mail. But even if you're sending an email, you just can't write something and send it anywhere on the internet. You have to send it to Gmail, right? You have to use their Gmail's client, and then Gmail will send that email to its destination. Or you have a physical letterbox. If you want your mail to reach its destination, you have to put it in that red Australia Post letterbox, then it will reach its destination. Because that is an authorized box. It works. So in the same way, the deity is Krishna. If we offer our prayers, our seva to the deity, Krishna accepts it. And Krishna accepts the form of a deity to give us this opportunity to render service. Because we are materially conditioned, and because we are under the subject of the three modes of nature, we are unable to perceive Krishna. As Amshuvan started his prayers by saying that, even Brahma can't perceive you, what to speak of others. So because we can't see Krishna, Krishna has kindly come in a form in which we can see him. So the deity is made, like Lord Jagannath, is carved out of wood, right? Gaunithai, the brass deities. So the deities are made out of various elements. And regulated service is offered to the deity. And the deity is none other than Krishna. So this was demonstrated some time back in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. So one time, the Sakshi Gopal pastime, one time there were two brahmanas. There was an elderly brahmana and a young brahmana, young man. They both were Brahmins. So they were on their way, they were going to a pilgrimage in Vrindavan. They were on their way to Vrindavan. So the young Brahman was very humble, very devoted. He did a lot of seva, and he was serving the older Brahmana, tending to all his various needs. So he felt the older Brahmana felt very indebted to the younger Brahman for his seva, for his personal seva. And he said, I would like to give you a gift. I will make a promise that I will offer my daughter in marriage to you. So he made this promise that I'll offer my daughter to you. But they happened to be from different social orders, right? They were not in the same social standing or the caste. So the younger Brahmin, he knew that. Like even today, generally speaking, marriage is done in equals, right? In India also. Look for someone from a similar background so you can get along well. There's no family issues, etc. So the younger Brahmana, he said, are you sure about that? I'm not wealthy, I'm from a different social standing. How will your family react to this? Are you sure about that? He said, yeah, I'm sure about that. This is my promise. He said, okay, no problems. And then they returned home. So after they returned home, he went to the elder Brahmin. He said, you made that promise to me. You'll give your daughter in marriage. And so the elder Brahmin, he consulted his family, and there was a lot of opposition. So he was under a lot of pressure, and then he went back to the younger Brahmin and he said, actually, I didn't make that promise. He said, I didn't promise that. And it happened so that when he made the promise, he made the promise in front of the deity there, Gopal. So he said, okay, you're saying you didn't make the promise, but the deity is the witness. So he went back to Vrindavan, the younger Brahmin, he went back to Vrindavan, and he went to the deity and he said, this injustice has happened to me, this promise was made, and he's not fulfilling it. You're the witness of everything. So can you come with me to Puri, to South India? That's where the elder Brahmin happened to live. He said, can you come with me all the way there and then clear the air? And the deity and Gopal, he spoke. So we come, Krishna doesn't speak to us because we don't We are not on that platform. So this Brahman was very pure. His prayer was very sincere. And he had very unshakable faith. So he said, he spoke. And the deity spoke. He said, I've never walked before, but because of your devotion, I will go with you. And the Gopal instructed the Brahman, you walk ahead, but don't look behind. You'll hear me, I'm walking, but don't look behind. If you look behind, I'll stop. So and whatever you offer me, I will eat it. So then for many days and months, it's a long distance, he walked, and Gopal, he walked behind him. And then one day, the younger Brahman, he looked back, when they had almost reached a destination. He looked back, and the deity, he just froze there. So where the deity froze, today there's a temple there, and that deity is still there. You can go, it's outside Puri, you can go and have darshan. That deity is called Sakshi Gopal. Then the elder Brahman was convinced, okay, the deity has come here. I did make that promise. And then he fulfilled his promise. So we can see in that way, the significance of this pastime is that Krishna is present in his deity form. And though he might not reciprocate to us in the manner he did to this younger Brahman, but still Krishna in his deity form is reciprocating to our prayers and services. Krishna is always reciprocating by giving us more opportunity to do devotional service. So the whole point is we can only see Krishna as he is if we engage in the process of devotional service. So we are subject to the three modes of material nature. And because we are subject to the three modes of material nature, it's very difficult for us to understand Krishna with our material intelligence, with our material arrangements, material intelligence. We cannot understand God. So scientists, so many people have been trying to understand God through speculation and various experiments. But they can't understand. In fact, they get more confused. Like I heard in the north, they were trying to do some experiment. They were exploring the atoms to understand the God particle, to understand the source, the creation, everything. But it's not possible to understand Krishna by colliding atoms with each other. We can only understand Krishna if Krishna is kind upon us, by Krishna's mercy, by Krishna's grace, then we can understand Krishna. And that mercy will only come if we are engaging in the process of devotional service. Though we are conditioned by the modes of nature, yet if we engage in devotional service, then we can gradually get purified. So Krishna consciousness movement is like a hospital. Every one of us, we come with our own baggage. We come with our own conditioning. And the whole idea behind the process of Krishna consciousness and sadhana bhakti is to overcome our anarthas, our material conditioning, so we can come to the platform of a pure devotee. That is the goal. That is what we are aiming for. And it is a process. It takes time. It doesn't happen immediately. Generally speaking, it takes time, can take many years or many decades. But it is a process worth striving for, because the process of bhakti is a very joyful process. And devotional service has to be performed in a pure manner. The more pure devotional service we perform, anya bilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukulena shilanam Thank you. Yes. So, devotional service doesn't stop, right? So the qualities or the characteristics of devotional service is, number one, it doesn't stop. Or you might have a cough or a cold, or you might get sick. You might stop your service for a few days, but you don't still permanently stop serving Krishna. But at least you don't stop your chanting. So we are always serving Krishna. We might physically stop it due to some condition, but we are still serving Krishna by chanting. The process of devotional service is ninefold, right? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. So we can still hear and chant. So the hearing and chanting continues. So in this way we are serving Krishna. And then we are serving Krishna by rendering devotional service. The whole idea behind that is to perform devotional service as purely as possible. And the more purely we perform, by pure I'm meaning without any motivation. So the more we perform without any motivation, the quicker we make progress. And the more we perform offenses, the more our devotional service is hampered. So unmotivated devotional service means like, you're performing bhakti, but you're not doing it for something. So like you're not doing it for any name or fame. You're not leading Kirtan because you become famous or give class. These are subtle anarthas, which are usually harder to overcome. But they are there in all of us. So it's about trying to do our service without recognition, these like untangible benefits. And then there's the tangible benefits. You're not doing devotional service to get a position, do something, so then you become a leader. You might become in due course, and that's also good. It's required. Someone has to lead, otherwise we won't go anywhere. Or we're not doing it you're not getting anything in return. It is voluntary. Devotional service is voluntary. So if it's done in that spirit, then it is purifying. So and that's the whole idea behind pure devotional service. It's done in a voluntary manner and not seeking anything in return. Of course, there's exceptions to that. There's exceptions to everything. But generally speaking, that's the rule. So with that, we'll leave it here and see if you have any comments or questions. It's almost 9 o'clock. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the nice class. Prabhu, you were talking about impersonalism. So my question was, the persons who are like still on the Brahman realization platform, does Krishna give them the eyes to see the Bhagavan features of Krishna? Or how do they come to like the Bhagavan platform?
Okay, so those who are on the Brahman platform, how do they go to the Bhagavan platform? Yeah, so like coming to the Brahman platform is the precursor to to going to the Bhagavan platform. We can see like in the previous verse, there's the mention of the 4 Kumaras, right? So Sanat, Sanak, Sananda, Sanatan. So was it the Kumaras who offered prayers to Tulsi or had Tulsi, and they became devotees? And it also says in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 14th chapter, can I get the Bhagavad Gita, please? So basically it says that first, you have to come to the Brahman platform. Thank you. says in the end, yes, Mam cha avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sa gunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. So yeah, those who practice impersonalism, they come to the Brahman platform, yes. But in the Brahman platform, they are free from the three modes of nature, and they understand they are the spirit soul, not this body. If they're fortunate and they come in touch with devotional service, like the four Kumaras, they came in touch. I think it was Tulsi. Yes, so they came in touch with Tulsi, and because they came in touch with devotional service, they were immediately transformed, and because they were already pure, they were on the Brahman platform, immediately went forward. So that's how they can go forward. But the danger is, if one doesn't go forward on the Brahman platform, then one again comes down to the material platform. So we can see people who are practicing impersonalism, quite often they come down to the material platform by doing material philanthropic works, like opening hospitals, distributing material food stuff, those kind of activities. So that is on the material platform. But if they come in touch with devotional service, like Shukdev Goswami also, he was a liberated soul. He was in the womb of his mother. And in the womb of his mother, he heard the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, right, from his father, Vyasadeva. So because he heard the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, which is all devotional service, immediately on that level. So that's how. Yeah, thank you. Hare Krishna. Good question. Any other question? Mahatma Prabhu.
How to do a good chanting, you want to tell us?
How to do good chanting? That's a very tough question. Something I always struggle with. I guess by trying to be attentive, as we recite that the last offense, not to be inattentive, which is the root of all other offenses. And speaking for myself also. So I guess we do good quality chanting by just trying to be in the present, just trying to focus. If we are in the present, then it's very powerful. At least I've noticed when I'm in the present, when I'm actually hearing the mantra, then it feels very powerful. And you can feel the potency of the chanting. And as a result, everything else also flows. You feel enthusiastic in devotional service, in all other aspects of Krishna consciousness. That's what I think I would say. Just trying to be present. Because we are not present, right? Like these days, mindfulness is so big because we are not in the present. That's why mindfulness has taken off. Because people are just struggling to be in the present, just to remain focused. And we have the same challenge in our lives. We have the same challenge in devotional service, just to be, in chanting especially, to be present when we are chanting. Hare Krishna. All right, if there's no further questions, we'll leave it here. Thank you for your kind attendance. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai.
Mandir Prabhu ki jai.
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsam Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sajivam Shadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur-Bhakta-Vrinda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur-Bhakta-Vrinda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur-Bhakta-Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,